given that REITs hold such a place within where human behavior and human life live, work, and play, incorporate these technologies to serve those customer bases even better and to empower their own employees will be done by AI. Just remember, don't wait until it's too late and perfect. Be a part of that shaping.
Hello and welcome to the REIT Report. I'm your host, Sarah Ball from Quito. This is the third and final installment of our mini-series looking at the adoption of AI within the REIT industry. In this episode, we're going to be looking at innovation strategies for REIT leaders with tech innovation expert Earnest Sweat. So, Ernest, to round out this mini-series, let's jump right into how REITs go about evaluating AI pilots and partnerships. First off, when a REIT wants to explore an AI partnership, what's the best approach? Do you think they should perhaps run a pilot first?
Yeah, this is a great question, and a question I get from a lot of different corporates, both in real estate and other legacy industries. I think first and foremost, you should actually start off as a REIT leader should actually start off with the problem set and use cases they're looking to solve and have a list and prioritize those first. And then look for and talk to, they should definitely talk to other REIT leaders in their asset class and outside of their asset class to connect with technologists that can lead them and connect the dots for what types of companies could solve their use cases. And so once then that kind of work is done, then once you're talking to a potential company, I think piloting is a great approach. But specifically do it in a manner and having programming, a trend that's happening now in Europe, first started in Europe and now in the US, called venture piloting. We've seen it done by a lot of oil and gas companies that are within healthcare as well. But historically, industries that aren't as good with adopting technology have taken this approach of having a specific type of budget that is capital that goes to specific innovative pilots that provide revenue for those startups and then also clear goals to be reached in that pilot. So that's what you need to have set up is what is that use case, finding out from inside and outside of your network, what are the actual companies that could solve that use case? Then once you find and narrow down the company, then try venture piloting, which I can get to a little bit more. But that's essentially being able to set up a friendly agreement and trial that's good for both the company, the REIT itself, as well as the small company.
So what would you say are some critical questions that a REIT leader should ask before really jumping into an AI initiative?
First, they should ask, why do they want to jump into a AI initiative? Is it because everybody else is thinking about it? Or do they really see both the challenges and opportunities that are going to come from a world that is AI mature in the next 5, 10, 15 years? And so if you ask that question as leadership, then you should ask, all right, how should we approach AI? And so there are a number of ways, right? There's a productivity approach, which is like, how do we increase our productivity per employee? There's a kind of use case approach. Hey, what are the gaps right now that lead us not to be competitive? And we can fill gaps with AI? Or is there a strengths approach where it's like, hey, we are already strong in this. How do we make this superpower a super duper power using AI? And so once those decisions are made, which I actually believe also should incorporate not only leadership, but also senior and middle management who's seeing what's happening on the ground, who's seeing the pain points at their kind of most glaring perspective and will provide rich information that could enhance the procurement of better AI, as well as develop strong partnerships between those who will be executing the strategy and deploying the technology and the actual technology companies that they'll be partnering with. You want to have that where everyone believes that 1 + 1 = 1,000.
So how do you think REITs can balance the promise of AI with the reality of implementation, especially when it comes to data quality and infrastructure?
Yes. And so I think when looking at REITs and in my time, both covering REITs in the late aughts as an equity research analyst and then helping establish and building a REIT corporate VC, REITs came along to the party of data a little bit later than other industries. And I think we can look back and ask, was that the right approach? I think if the industry had been a little bit mature at this point with its data, then it would be better positioned for even in incorporating and deploying a lot of the AI tools today. So in a sense, there needs to be a little bit of speed up. And how can we do a postmortem of the data, the emergence of kind of data being the next oil? How do we now approach AI era in a better approach? So how do we adopt earlier than we're accustomed to? Because we can never wait till things are perfect to actually take advantage of them. If you wait till things are 100%, then everyone else in the market will already have it and you'll be disadvantaged, as well as, you won't be able to have your imprint on where the industry goes with this new technology. So I think the approaching questions is they should be asking is like the high quality of technology companies that you're bringing in, and making sure you as captains of industry in your own right are looking to seek other captains of industry to find what's actually disruptive, where are companies that really understand your problem and that are willing to learn and take your advice. And then I think the other approach is with data. We've learned this already, but I think it's happening even more as we're seeing the emergence of AI. Data plus AI does not equal like you'll see signals, right? Everyone thinks of, in data, there are signals. Yes, that is true. But signals without reason, and you get reason from feedback loops of humans, and actually knowing where to find the right data. And that's only going to come from your actual human resources. But if you don't have that data, which leads to signals plus reason, you won't have meaning, right? To actually take advantage of insights. And so just even having that approach and viewpoint of things don't have to be perfect, but we need to know when to strike so we can mold this technology in the right way and be the right partner to a lot of these companies and not be disadvantaged when it's 100% 5 years from now.
And Ernest, how would companies go about creating some sort of framework or timeline in order to evaluate their AI vendors and partnerships?
Yes, I think going back to the venture partnering, having a strong point of view of let's say we have an example of the use case of having a commercial lease be signed, right? There's a process of like talking to finding a potential renter of the space, the commercial space, having discussions with them on what their needs are for the space, looking at their own financial statements, looking at risk and some other things, right? To get to, now we negotiate and sign a lease. How many individuals do we have in that process today? How much time do those individuals have to not only rely on this one lease that we talk about, but like multiples on multiples of leases? And so for that use case, determining, all right, how long does that usually take currently in our workflow? Where do things usually get snagged that shouldn't get snagged? And then asking the question, if you have a company that's helping streamline that, an AI company, what do you guys think you're going to improve by? And not just improving by cost cutting or time cutting, but like, how do you make sure that we're able to see opportunities that don't fall through the cracks and we're actually able to increase revenue? So having a conversation before even signing the pilot. But clearly I've seen that one of the falls of a lot of corporates is they start a pilot without having like, all right, what's the trigger of this, of us saying, hey, we're willing to have an extended contract with you, enterprise contract with you. And so having those terms of like, this is the hurdle rate for these 2 to 4, 2 to 3 metrics, that helps a startup know that they're not going to be in pilot purgatory as well.
Great. And how can REIT leaders effectively communicate the value and purpose of AI initiatives to their teams? And that could be a very broad audience.
Yes, I think the main thing is truly, goes back to those early questions I talked about at the beginning, is like, why are you doing AI? Why is there an AI initiative? And that should be really aligned with what the company values are, what the company vision is. And if you have a vision that you don't feel that you're bloated today and want to make sure that you're not, and that you're empowering your employees to be able to do even more interesting work, where a lot of the mundane work they won't have to do as much, that's what you need to convey. You also need to convey, I think there's a misconception with all the kind of news articles and whatnot that AI is only out there to steal jobs. But if we look at transitions or technological step functions that we've had in the past, some jobs have been decimated, but it's also opened the opportunity up for new jobs too, and more of those new jobs. And so, what are the new opportunities or new functions that will arise thanks to these kind of like low hanging fruit being eliminated? So, communicating all of that and how you're going to empower your employees to do more interesting work and how their, I like to call tribal knowledge, just their knowledge around the work that they've done over decades, how that empowers the AI to take on a lot more of their work and make them smarter. That's what you need to convey.
Any closing thoughts before I let you go?
I think that despite all of the headlines and uncertainty and frankly excitement, it is critical for such a strong industry like the REIT industry to lead real estate and other legacy industries in this, whatever this new age of business will be. And given that REITs hold such a place within where human behavior and human life live, work, and play, incorporated as technologies to serve those customer bases even better and to empower their own employees will be done by AI. Just remember, don't wait until it's too late and perfect. Be a part of that shaping. So that's what I want to leave everyone with.
Ernest, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if you enjoyed this mini-series or other episodes of the REIT Report, please subscribe or leave a review on your favorite podcast platform.